Good evening, everyone. My name is Risha, and I'm your hostess for this evening. Tonight is another session in the series held by Revolution in Agriculture. It's a collaboration between Homegrown Business Solutions and Tropical Agriculture Consultancy Services. And we have weekly sessions to really get persons to have an idea of the possible agribusiness ventures that are possible. Feel free to type any of your questions or comments in the chat, and we will entertain them after Riyadh's presentation. I am one of the masterminds, and that is a program that is ongoing at the moment where we try to train persons to develop their business ideas. So of course, any further information you can get after. As Cohen mentioned, this is the third session in cheese making. So 2 others came before, and those recordings are available. And if you are interested, feel free again at the end of the presentation to inquire about how you can get them. So without further ado, let's hand you over to Riyadh.
Thank you. I'll just start to share the screen now, okay? All right, has everyone seen the screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, so a special good evening to everyone. This is cheese making part 3 or session 3. This again tonight is an amazing collaboration between Homegrown Solutions and Tropical Agriculture Consultancy Services. My name is Riyadh Mohammed. All right, so a brief outline of what we'll be covering tonight. We'll be touching on some good agricultural practices, personal protective equipment, a brief, very brief overview of what we did in presentation 1 and 2, some cheese making terms, the 5 classifications of cheese. We'll understand a bit of what is veganism and vegan cheese. We'll also learn at least how to make one type of cheese, which is the garlic herb vegan cheese, as well as we'll be covering the topic of lactose-free cheese labeling, and we shall have a short question and answer session soon after. Our vision at Tropical Agriculture is to be the leading agribusiness development and consultancy company, promoting sustainable agribusinesses and to improve the livelihoods of all communities. So what are good agricultural practices? The purpose of a GAP, all right, it's sustainably producing food of a high and nutritious quality consistently. What are good manufacturing practices? These are a set of principles, regulations, and technical recommendations applicable to production, processing, and food transport, addressing human health care, environment protection, and improvement of worker conditions and their families. All right, as we jump on to personal protective equipment. So in the field of agriculture, using PPE is not only highly recommended, but is mandatory by the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. All right, and the reason to use the PPE is really to reduce risk that may be harmful to health in both short and long terms. All right, so these are some of the areas covered by PPE, such as your eyes and face, hearing, respiratory, hands, head, feet, and clothing. A brief run through of what we did in presentation 1 and 2. In presentation 1, We understood livestock production and the relationship to cheese making. We also went into forage production as it relates to cheese making. We covered the materials for cheese making, the process of cheese making, and we explored 10 different types of cheese that came from livestock. In presentation 2, we focused on 4 major types of cheese, mainly cheddar, feta, mozzarella, and parmesan. All right, and the production of each of those, focusing more on the consistency, the taste, and what type of livestock made those types of cheeses. Before we get into the presentation tonight, I just want to reiterate some of the cheese making terms. All right, artisan is food and drink maker using natural set of skills or craftsmanship. All right, pasteurization is a treatment with mild heat to eliminate pathogens. Thermization is sub-pasteurization by heat treatment. Ripening is leaving that cheese after, for a period of time to obtain that particular flavor. Curdling is the breaking of an emulsion into parts. Butterfat is usually a livestock term, really represents the fat percentage in the milk. All right, vegetarian do not eat or does not eat flesh, for instance, meat, mussel, or fish. A vegan, however, does not eat any livestock or livestock products, which will include dairy, eggs, honey, broth, rennet, gelatin, fats, leather, wood, wool, beeswax, or even silk. All right, and lactose intolerant is now the inability to digest lactose, and it's a digestive disorder. So there are 5 major classifications of cheese as defined by the Food and Agriculture Organization. They are soft cheese, semi-soft, semi-hard, hard, and extra hard. So for cheese to be soft, it should contain more than 67% moisture. For cheese to be semi-soft, it should contain between 61 and 69% moisture. For the cheese to be semi-hard, it should have 54 to 63% moisture. For it to be termed as hard cheese, which is a bit important in this PowerPoint, hard and extra hard, hard should be 49 to 56% moisture, and the extra hard meaning less than 51% moisture. So let's get right into it. What is vegan cheese? All right, so I will pay particular attention to some terms more than others in this presentation. So vegan cheese is generally known as non-dairy, which is really from livestock, plant-based cheese. All right, they range from soft, fresh cheeses to aged, hard cheeses. All right, so it's the exclusion of animal products. All right, it's only made from plant-based proteins and fats. So that's vegan cheese. So why is there a move towards veganism? All right, generally we are seeing this as a growing trend around the world. It's really because of the animal welfare issues, the environmental sustainability in terms of pollution, scarcer resources such as potable water, exploring plant-based diets. So it's really trendy right now. Some scientists and enthusiasts even claim it to be a healthier way of life as it relates to diseases. And even some has used the ethical standpoint. Why would you take a life to support a life? All right, so those are the general reasons our population or some portion of the population is going towards veganism. All right, so the history of vegan cheese, I just want to reiterate, I am not using the term lactose-free cheese just yet. All right, we are just focusing on vegan cheese. It originated in China in around the 1600s. All right, first made with the fermented tofu or whey soy. All right, soy flour, margarine, and yeast extract. All right, and commercial production was done around 1970s. In terms of the product quality, it has a lower nutritional quality and a plastic-like texture. All right, and in the 1990s, vegan cheese, it actually had a boom in the demand around the world and many variations. So is there a market for vegan cheese? Definitely yes. Actually, we are seeing now there is a global growth and demand for vegan cheese. All right, Europe and North America has the largest market share. All right, it's a high demand for plant-based foods. Where could you find vegan cheese? In specialty stores, markets, and even high-end restaurants. What are the more common types of vegan cheese? Mozzarella, Parmesan, cheddar, Gouda, and cream cheese. And the vegan cheese is more expensive than the dairy-made cheese. Now, we have reached a very important part in the presentation tonight, where we come to labeling vegan cheese. So generally around the world, the term cheese, when you say that term, it's associated with a value-added product made from a raw material sourced from an animal or livestock. All right, so it's a very controversial to put cheese on a label when the raw materials did not come directly from livestock. All right, so what we want to do is really to understand the proper definition of cheese. All right, so the correct term to use is 100% dairy-free plant-based cheese. All right, 100% dairy-free plant-based cheese. That term is acceptable now in the world. As it relates to the nutritional requirements or the nutritional content of vegan cheese, as compared to the dairy-made cheese, it has little cholesterol or less, little saturated fats. It's a lower source of calcium, generally a lower source of protein. However, it's very high in riboflavin, vitamin B12. All right, and additionally, nutritional yeast is used. These are some of the ingredients you will use to make your vegan cheese. So generally, we look for plant-based products with a high protein and fat source. For instance, some of the raw materials may include coconut milk, cashew paste, oil such as soybean or canola, plant-based milk, beta carotene you could even add for color. All right, more commonly is the tapioca flour or arrowroot flour, other plant oils, pea protein, buckwheat, soy milk, miso, potato starch, rice flour, sweet potato flour, plantain flour, cassava flour, dasheen flour, and chickpea brine. So all of these are ingredients you could use to make your vegan cheese. All right, including macadamia nuts, pecans, pine nuts, sunflower seeds, and pumpkin seeds. So you could see here how we could use different ingredients to up the nutritional content of our vegan cheese. However, there are some of the best sources to make vegan cheese. All right, so I narrowed it down to this list of six, sorry. So there is cashew, which will give the vegan cheese a creamy texture. There's tapioca, all right, originally coming from cassava, gives the cheese the ability to melt and stretch. There is coconut, which adds a nice fatty flavor. There is tofu, which is the most malleable, which allows for the cheese to be most malleable. There's almond, which you could use to make artisan vegan cheeses, for example, ricotta, and nutritional yeast. All right, so all of these are nice or the best sources to create vegan cheese. Before we get into the cheese making process of at least one vegan cheese, I just want to explain some of the ingredients. So what is nutritional yeast? Nutritional yeast is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is the same yeast used to bake bread and root beer. And it's so in that process, the yeast are generally alive. All right, but yeast contains proteins, vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. However, in the nutritional yeast we want to use for the vegan cheese, they are not alive in the final product. All right, so the yeast cells die. when the yeast cells die, they give the cheese this type of flavor, nutty and savory flavor. All right, and you could even add additional vitamins or synthetic vitamins to your vegan cheese. Nutritional yeast comes in the form of solid flakes, granules, or powder. Agar, agar, or agar, right? Over time, so this is really the mixture of aragonose and agaropectin. All right, so it's culture media for generally used in microbiology as culture media for microbial growth. However, this is also known as a vegan substitute for gelatin, which is originated from collagen, which is from a livestock product. All right. The sugar molecule mainly found in agar is galactose. It's a white and semi-translucent, semi-solid. Right. So it's about 80% dietary fiber, and it actually acts as a filler. All right. So you actually feel fuller when you consume agar. All right, so it's generally a good buffer to use in vegan cheese as well. Now, these are some local fat sources, and I'm sure you all can recognize these. Cashew nuts, tapioca, cassava, coconut, and almonds. All four sources you could get locally. All right, so before we go into the small cheese making exercise, I'd just like to list some general measurements. So 3 teaspoons is a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons is an ounce, 4 tablespoons is a quarter cup, 1 cup is equal to 8 fluid ounces, 2 cups is equal to 1 pint, 2 pints is equal to 1 quart, and 4 quarts is equal to 1 gallon. So now, are you ready to make your first vegan cheese? This recipe will be focused on making garlic and herb vegan cheese. So these are the ingredients we'll need to make our vegan cheese. 2 cups of raw cashew, 1 tablespoon of minced garlic, which is approximately two whole cloves, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder for enhanced flavor, 1 rough skin lemon zested, 60 ml of fresh rough skin lemon juice, a half cup of water, and if you want the cheese to be a bit softer, you could add 3/4 cups of far softer texture, 2 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, half teaspoon of sea salt, 2 tablespoons of olive oil, and 2 tablespoons of freshly minced dill when served. Right, so this is the process. What we want to do is actually soak the cashew nuts in a bowl of cool water for 12 hours before the operation starts. What we want to do after that 12-hour period is drain the cashews and add, firstly now, to a processor along with your minced garlic, your lemon zest, lemon juice, water in small aliquots or small portions, because you don't really want to get that cheese that soft. All right, so you want to maybe add in 15 to 20 ml volumes. Then you add your nutritional yeast, your salt, and your olive oil. When you process that, what you want to actually look for is a creamy and smooth texture, all right, not grainy. And like I said, you add water as needed. Lastly, what you want to do is add your seasonings for taste, all right? Then you could add your even more lemon zest for tartness, add nutritional yeast for cheesiness, add garlic for a bit of a zing, and add some salt for a bit of enhanced flavor and balance. All right, so this is called the cheese flavoring process. All right, so this is actually the last portion of the cheese making process for vegan cheese. What you want to do is to get a fine mesh, all right, placed in a colander, then placed over a large mixing bowl. All right, what you want to do is to get a double layer of cheesecloth. All right, take the contents out of the processor, put it into the cheesecloth. Then make the cheesecloth into a tight bun. All right, so you ring maybe clockwise and secure with a rubber band. And then place into the refrigerator for about 12 hours or more and remove, because you really want to remove the excess moisture, all right, in the product you just made. Then what you want to do lastly is to take out from the fridge and serve in small portions and add your herbs and lemon zest as needed. You could actually consume within 2 hours or place back into the fridge up to 5 days. So when I say consume within 2 hours, consume within 2 hours of it being made out of the fridge. And if you have remainders, you could place back into the refrigerator for at least up to 5 days. So that is your general ingredients and method to make vegan cheese. There are other types of vegan cheese that you could use, such as your vegan mozzarella, the green goddess powder, aged camembert. Right, so this is your pistachio cashew coconut cheese, and you can see where it got the nice green hint from. Cashew less vegan queso, almond milk pepperjack, a common name, the herbed cashew, vegan parmesan, the raw vegan goat cheese, and you will see goat in really in commas there because there's no livestock contents in the cheese. However, that's just the name. There is your nacho cheese slips, walnut and herb. And you can see this came out a bit crumbly as compared to the rest. So now we move to the second half of our presentation, where we will explore what is lactose-free cheese. All right, so the first half was speaking about vegan cheese. Now we'll speak about lactose-free cheese. So lactose is mainly found in the whey portion or component. Now in presentations 1 and 2, we would have noted that in 1 liter of milk or 1,000 ml of milk, you would have gotten about 87% water or approximately 90% liquid, with 10% being milk solids. All right, so the liquid portion is what is called whey. However, hard or aged cheese means that it will have the lowest lactose content, because that aging process aided by bacteria sends the lactose content very, very, very low. However, this is only for hard or aged cheese. If we are speaking towards soft cheeses, all right, this actually has the highest lactose content. So some types of cheese that has very high lactose content is your brie, camembert, cottage cheese, and even mozzarella. So when we speak about lactose-free cheese, it does not mean that all the lactose is eliminated from that cheese. It just means that the percentage or the contents or concentration is very low. All right, and we have to consume hard or aged cheeses when we speak about lactose-free cheese. Now, what is lactose intolerance? It's really a digestive problem. It actually affects 75% of the total world population, where some humans know or even don't know they have the condition. All right, so lactase is the enzyme that is found in the gut, and lactose is a milk sugar found in the milk. But without lactose or enough lactase, the lactose can pass through the gut undigested. All right, and these are some of the conditions you get: nausea, pain, gas, bloating, and even diarrhea. All right, so this is lactose intolerance. However, there's good news even if you are diagnosed with lactose intolerance. Not all dairy foods contain enough lactose to cause intolerance. All right, so intolerant individuals could still consume up to 12 grams of lactose, right, which is the milk sugar, without showing signs. 12 grams of lactose could be found in at least 230 mLs of cow's milk. So that's a good sign. You could still consume up to this safe amount. All right, so low lactose foods will include butter, hard cheese, probiotic yogurt, whey isolate protein powder, kefir, and heavy cream. So these are the products you could consume as a lactose intolerant person. All right, and it's really a situation where you have to gauge and judge with the effects of consuming each of them individually and separately. As we speak about low lactose cheeses, these are some examples. So there's the Gouda cheese, all right, which took 26 months to age. See how solid that looks? There is the Grana Padano, which aged for approximately 20 months. And you can see how crumbly this cheese looks. There is your Mimolet, which has aged for approximately 22 months. There is your Romano, which has aged for 48 months, which is 4 years old. There's your Cabot cheese, Asiago cheese, Gruyere cheese, Manchego cheese, Gorgonzola cheese, and cottage cheese, all of which are hard cheeses for you to consume. Additionally, emmental. All right, so we must be ethical as cheese producers going forward. So should we use the term lactose-free cheese, where it really means it's not totally lactose-free, but the lactose content is very low, or should we use the term 100% dairy-free plant-based cheeses? Now, most producers sometimes mix up the terms. All right, so lactose-free cheese means that the content of lactose is low, but it still means that you are using milk from livestock, either cows, buffalo, goat, or sheep. And separately, now there is 100% dairy-free plant-based vegan cheese. All right, so it's all about a bit of ethics. State clearly your value proposition on each label. All right, and this is how we hold ourselves responsible as responsible agribusiness owners. One of the things I'd like to cover before we end is yogurt cheese. So it's a dairy-made product, so it's not vegan. All right, however, it uses active yogurt cultures such as Acidophilus and Bifidus, but it utilizes the milk sugars, which we know as lactose, in cheese making and the aging process. All right, so these microorganisms utilize the milk sugars to carry that lactose content to a low level. All right, it's the closest taste to real cheese. It melts very well, and again, it's low in lactose. These are some of the questions I'll have for you tonight that we could discuss. What is the potential for vegan cheese in Trinidad and Tobago? And you see I put cheese in brackets there. What is the potential for flavored cheese as a value-added product? What seasonings and spices can be used in local cheeses? Take 1 minute to write down these questions so we could chat on these soon after. Thank you all for all your attention. I shall stop sharing the screen now and we can discuss.
Thank you, Riyadh, for that great presentation as always. You really took us through some possibilities, and I like the fact that you highlighted how attractive and of course nutritional these vegan cheeses can be, because a lot of people, when they think of vegan, they think it's bland, but you really showcase that, you know, it could have flavor, you could enjoy it, and it
Correct.
could be great for your, you know, your
Yeah.
health.
Yeah.
And I also like that you highlight the local sources. You know, we can possibly access local cashew and so forth,
Correct.
and tapioca and almonds to produce the cheese. So thank you for that. Now, I did see that there are a few questions in the chat.
Yeah.
I don't know if you would like to address those now.
Yes, I don't mind. I'll do that now. All right. So the first question from Risha: since lemons are seasonal, can we freeze the juice, then thaw out required quantities? Can we use limes instead? Um, Preferably, we'd like to use lemons, Rish, and we want to keep it very local. Remember, we want to create new products. That is why I tweaked the recipe and put in that we use rough skin lemons, which is a family tradition in Trinidad and Tobago. And yes, we could freeze it. It actually maintains the integrity pretty well.
Okay.
Um, Leela is asking if all these slides will be emailed. Leela, we don't email these slides. We give you a copy of the recording at your request. Right. From Risha. Good. No problem. From Joshua. Vegan goat cheese. Interesting. Yeah, yeah, Josh. That was just one of the chefs, he named it like that because it almost looked identical to cheese made by using livestock raw materials. Right? And that's why I put it in inverted commas too. Yeah, I just wanted to know if you see if you all would have noticed. Right? Kuwan is hungry as usual. Risha is agreeing as well. So so Kuwan, oh Kuwan, well Kuwan, I can address your question there with why they just call it that. Yeah, just a name. All right, and it's because they replicate the taste, and it's very close in tasting when you understand how to use each component of the ingredient list that I listed there. Yeah, and that's why nutritional yeast is very important. Who knew yeast would have so much effect in the food industry, you know, as just the baking or brewery industry.
Well, this also highlights the importance and the benefits of food science,
Definitely,
right?
definitely.
Understanding flavor profiles and how to create or how to replicate flavors, which is getting very, very sophisticated right now. I mean, you have places where not only are they replicating the flavor, which I would say is probably the easier part, but also replicating the consistency and texture. So
Yep,
you might really feel like you're eating meat. It tasting like meat. It looking like meat, but it's not meat.
yep. That's where the world is heading right now. Too. Yeah. Risha, I suppose the longer it takes to age, the cheese is more expensive. They become definitely, yes, Rich. The longer it takes means the lactose content will indirectly be lower. All right. So it also fetches a higher price in that avenue as well. Remember, it takes up market space and storage space. So it will hold a higher price. And you see, this is one of the good things about cheese making, is that you will have a stored product. And that's why hundreds and thousands of years ago, these nomads use the milk to make cheese, so they can walk around with a block of cheese, you know, as a nice energy source, protein and energy source. All right, so the science was living around us so long. Yeah. Joshua, I imagine that cheeses that needed a greater amount of time to age also generally can be sold for more. Definitely, Josh. Um, cool. Right. A little comment from Risha there. Um, the cheese looks very promising. Great. Nice. I would say. Yeah. Yes, Cohen. The pictures of the vegan cheese look very attractive. Very, very attractive.
Yeah, I was surprised, and well, you know, again, being you're always looking at something from an entrepreneurial perspective. Just going through those slides, you know, it had the feeling of, you know, you're walking into a bakery and you're just seeing the showcase with all these different treats. I mean, imagine instead of just, you know, going in the cold food section, right? In your typical grocery, somebody's walking into a place and just seeing all these different types of cheeses, especially if we could do it in such a way that the price point could make it um, at least more interesting for people to want to experiment with it,
Yes, definitely. Um,
right?
yeah, a question by Leela here. Will there be a practical video on how to do the cheese making process? Yes, Leela, we're actually working on it. It's just we have some restrictions with the COVID and the social distancing for now. But we will have a session soon. All right. Candice, what is the average shelf life of vegan cheese? Candice, the good thing about the vegan cheese is actually lasts a bit longer once preserved and packaged well. All right, than the livestock cheese. All right, and that's refrigerated. So if you for a homeowner, it will last 5 days home, but for on the shelf, it can last months. All right, and even years. It really depends on how you package and how you use the technology to package. All right, because there are some methods of packaging that would not allow the outside environment to contaminate or alter the inside environment. All right, and that's where some form of nanotechnology is taking place now in packaging in the world. Yeah. I have a PhD colleague who is doing that actually for some provisions in Tobago. So yeah, so technology has helped us a long way in food production, harvesting methods, and even storage.
Right.
So I was thinking, I am very glad that Leela and Candace is in class tonight because I think I'll help Leela understand a bit more about the vegan cheese since she wants to go in that direction. And I think I help Candace understand a bit more. Well, Candace and her family understand a bit more of what they could consume at the safe level, you know? So I hope the feedback from Candace and Leela, is positive at the end. I would like now, Rish,
Mhm.
if you could ask the class now these three
Sure.
questions and let us discuss.
Right. So question one is there potential for vegan cheese in Trinidad and Tobago?
Anyone could unmute now and we could answer, we could collaborate and discuss.
Hi, good night, Leela here. I would say yes, definitely. There is a new market fit, a new trend because of health and wellness. I would share this with you all. I recently did a transformation on health and nutrition recently. I did a 21-day on it, and I cut off all dairy, all meats, etc. And I was able to lose weight and feel healthy. So doing that journey, through that, now I'm on a search for more vegan, more natural, non-processed food, etc. So
Great.
I think there's a market for it, and there's a lot of people who are now realizing eating unhealthy is not the best way. It's very expensive though. So if we can get things that might be cost effective for the regular people who can say, well, okay, I want to have a good piece of vegan cheese rather
Yeah.
than the cheap dairy cheese that burns our stomach and stuff, it will be good. So I think there's a great potential for it, and it's all how we market it. I mean, I go to the green market now and then, but you don't see things like that. So I think it'll be a good addition for people like us who are now transitioning into healthy eating.
Yeah. Thanks so much for that, Leela. And I will mention in the PowerPoint you said that I listed some local sources of fats and protein. Yeah, and that's where I want us to take things. Well, let us find our local what we have here, so we don't have to import the raw materials or inputs. All right, and start creating different varieties of vegan cheese. Yeah, so thanks again for that, Lil.
Anyone else would
I
like
was
to answer number one?
Sure.
Candace?
Go ahead, Candace.
Yeah, I also think there's potential for it. I think where the world is going and where Trinidad is following to is vegan. I mean, I'm not necessarily vegan per se, but I do see it trending right now. My only concern is the cost, like Lita was talking about, because I saw it and I think it was Price Club in Chabonas. I saw some vegan cheese selling there, and it was selling for between 70 to $100 and something. And I mean, the average person cannot afford
No.
to purchase that. So I agree with you, Riyadh. Sourcing local materials would definitely change that. But as it is right now, I think the cost, that cost point is going to, it's a hiccup. It's
Yeah.
something. So this is actually why I'm here, because I can't afford to pay $70 every time I go in the grocery for a piece
No,
of cheese.
not for a taste of cheese that you could make here.
Exactly.
That's why I listed some of the ingredients, and you realize all of them we could get here, all or most, right? And that's why I want you guys to start experimenting from home and come up with some nice new flavors, you know. And sometimes even when you want to go into the commercial operations, patent your work and protect your IP. All right, so I definitely endorse, because commercially I don't know any vegan cheese producers. I can tell you that, and I've been in the industry 14 years now. All right, so let me just read some questions before we continue answering.
Just one. Let me just make sure. Right. Okay. So my question then, because I know in the first two presentations we recognize that producing cheese is not as costly as people might think, right? How does cost compare with respect to the vegan cheese? Is it more so dependent on the ingredients you choose to use? Because let's say, all right, if you're using cashews, cashews not cheap, right? But could you substitute cashews, let's say, for another?
Cassava, almond, coconut milk,
Yeah.
all cheap, all cheap. You know, but the thing is, Cohen, when people say it's not generally cheap, that's the assumption they make in a temperate country, because the materials come from tropical countries. You see any cashew trees growing
Yeah.
in the winter?
No, well, even when you brought this up, where my mind went was olive oil in Italy, you know, or things over olive oil is like king down here, but in the places that actually grow the olive trees and make, I mean, everybody house that is only olive oil they use.
Basic commodity,
Right?
basic.
So what is a luxury item here? Somewhere else is, as you say, a basic commodity.
Correct. So what we have to do is find the local products that we could access here, right here, which would encourage local food production as well. What we're doing is just collecting the products from each of these production units and creating a very cheap product. You realize I did not focus on the commercial cheese production process in this PowerPoint, because making things with your hand will give you that advantage of selling for a higher price.
Right.
Right? So we need to understand clearly what could be done, because the raw materials are available here.
Yeah, and I think if because I've been looking up some information on vegan cheeses. So of course there are things like Gouda or Parmesan that would have a certain look or taste. So I think they would use materials that would, you know, closely imitate those things, right? So you also have to think about that. If you're labeling something as dairy-free or vegan Gouda, you know, persons wanted to have that certain look or texture like Gouda.
Yeah, texture of color, correct.
Yeah. Okay. I actually have a question for Candice, if she will permit me. I was wondering if you had tried a different type of milk from cow milk, like goat milk, because I know persons who have issues with lactose, they react better to other types of milk?
Yes, we actually tried goat's milk, but we don't like the taste.
It's not
Okay,
that quiet taste.
Yeah.
okay, okay, understood. So
Okay.
yeah,
So better for the body, but not for the taste buds.
yeah.
Mm-mm.
And I see Ria Joshua had asked a question. How does
Yes.
vegan cheese measure up nutritionally when compared with dairy cheese?
Yeah. Just I covered that in the PowerPoint, and generally it is not as superior as when you compare the protein content or the calcium content high in vitamins and minerals, right? I'm seeing a question here from Miss Chris. I
Okay, just
think that
Riyadh,
since more people are home, people are, yeah.
yeah, you were breaking up a little bit on my end. Was it the same for everybody, or was it just me?
No, it was breaking up by me as well.
Okay,
Okay,
I think you might have to go over the answer again, Riyadh.
no problem. What I was saying is that vegan cheese generally does not match up nutritionally to our traditional cheese or the cheese obtained from livestock. All right. If you want to compare in terms of protein or energy as well as the calcium or phosphorus level. However, it does compare generally very well on the vitamin and mineral level. Okay. But you see,
That's
the nutritional contents of cheese always deals with the raw materials you start with. So if you come with new combinations if you start with high raw materials, a high nutritional profile, you
mhm.
obviously will end up with a high nutritional profile. Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
heard.
Yeah, you were breaking up, but I think you said if you start off with high nutritional or high quality products, you would have a high quality product.
But
You know,
well, yeah, still
question here
hearing
from
that breaking
Yeah,
up.
you're
Miss
breaking up badly, Riyadh.
Chris.
yeah, you might have to switch.
I think that since more people are at home, people are also looking for. Correct. Yes. Yeah.
I don't know if turning off our cameras might help in this instance, because we may be on.
Just just give me 1 second.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, I think that's on Riyadh's end. He may have to pull the
Okay,
old switcheroo.
gotcha.
Yeah, so well, I was even wondering if like how we might have enriched flour after we strip it of most of the natural goodness, and now we have to come and add, you know, the nutritional elements to it. If we can do
The
something
same with
similar
cheese.
with cheese, yes.
You know, I
You
Mm-hmm.
was
know,
thinking along the same lines because you even mentioned something that I actually was going to ask of homegrown and um of tropical consultancy services if you all would have been able or willing or to consider doing one on these quote unquote vegan meats that are being produced. Because you mentioned it, Kevin, but there are companies that are actually recreating meat using their natural components, pretty much the same texture as meat, pretty much the same taste as meat, and they do it pretty good.
Yeah.
So in a similar context, I was thinking, if cheese can be reconstructed, so to speak.
Kerwin, if you could take a note of that for a course in 2021, because we totally booked for 2020.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Not a
yeah.
problem.
totally booked. But we
Understood.
will. I don't mind doing that at all, Josh.
That'd be
You know,
great.
I mean, food science is exciting. I think one of the
Mm-hmm.
big challenges initially was what people might call the fake food. You're calling it this thing that I'm accustomed with, and then
Yeah.
when I taste it, I find it tastes like crap, right? Um, but now, I mean, it's like some of these places are so good. If you just carry somebody there and put food in front of them, and they eat and belly full and they belch. And you tell them, so, well, you know, everything you just ate there was only plant-based, right?
Yeah.
You know, they would lose their mind, because at no point would they able to identify that this is not meat that I am eating.
Yeah.
Right? So I think as we advance, the potential is also increasing. So it is really up to us now and our innovativeness, you know, to make sure we also capitalize on this. And I must say, I was really, really surprised just looking at the slides of those vegan cheeses, right? I mean, it looked very, very appealing.
Yeah. All right. I just want to read the comments from Miss Chris. You all hear me perfectly now, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So I think that since more people are at home, people are also looking for more healthy alternatives, and I can see this working out well from that point of view. I totally agree, Ms. Chris. A great point. Also, Lila is asking about how about producing oyster mushrooms that can replicate meats. That's also a possibility in the vegan world. Next year, I am considering also doing local mushroom production. I'm considering it because I got 2 colleagues down here who do it commercially. I just have to negotiate with them if they are willing to share, you know, some secrets of the industry. Yeah. So I think did the class answer all 3 questions?
No, we're on the second. I'm gonna ask the second one now.
Okay.
What potential for flavored cheese? What is the potential for flavored cheese as value-added products?
So
Probably.
anyone can unmute and give us some possible flavors.
Possible flavors. I mean, I think the sky's pretty much the limit.
Unlimited.
But yeah, exactly.
Name 5 quick ones.
Okay. Mango. Scorpion pepper.
Nice.
Cheese. I don't know what else. 1 second. These kind of, I mean, this might be a little bizarre, and I've never actually tried them, so excuse me. But soursop. No clue.
What I want to add, you know, some people enjoy the cheese and jam combo. Right. So Josh, you came up with a nice idea there where you're getting a local fruit or a tropical fruit to infuse in your cheese.
Exactly.
So you have on one slice cheese and fruit.
Yeah.
So you could coin that before Cohen take your idea.
Agreed.
What is this?
Anybody else willing? Anybody else willing to try all flavors?
I know Leela had unmuted. Yes, go ahead, Leela.
Okay, I would say a pimento pepper, a shadow benny,
Good.
a tamarind,
Yeah.
a cumin or jeera,
Good.
and well, I don't know for the 4th one. The 5th one, I haven't reached it yet.
No problem. In the last presentation, I think I outlined over 50 different ways to flavor cheese, and all of which Leela just called are part of the 50. All right.
Oh,
so
wow.
you could check presentation 2, I believe, for that.
Okay. Cool.
So thanks so much for that, Leela.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No problem.
And for me, what is exciting about this is the fact that it opens the door for people to just specialize, right? And you know, you don't need 20 or 50. You could just have 2 or 3 flavors that you specialize in, and that, you know, that becomes your signature. And we simply have more people coming up with their own unique flavor profiles, because what would happen, I mean, is not just going to impact as we might just look at eating your bread and cheese or your cricks and cheese, right? But how would that now impact when you're making your macaroni pie? Or somebody, you're making a pizza using these same cheeses now that have our own unique Caribbean flavor and everything. So this is huge. Pineapple cheese.
That's a pizza going 2-in-1.
It sounds good.
Well, all you know definitely now I have to go and get something to eat after this session.
All right. You can just ask the third question, Nerish.
Sure. What are the seasonings and spices and local cheeses?
Good. And I think Lila had touched a bit on that, where we could have gone into different types of original seasonings, and even ginger is a type of cheese. We could even focus on making medical types of cheese for consumption. Saffron, ginger. All right, Joshua, you could illuminate aloe. All of those are different types that I like you all to try.
At some week, somebody is also recommending cannabis or CBD. If we're looking at medicinal, we could call it CBD. That's the correct term. Though I'm not talking nonsense here and all you're laughing at mine is CBD.
Joshua could maybe verify.
Yeah, CBD is cannabidiol. That's a compound found in marijuana. So yeah. Yep.
Yes, right. So we could have CBD cheese.
I was gonna suggest it, but yeah.
Yeah. So that would be a hard, high-grade cheese.
And I think the comment or the concern with regards to the protein content of cheese probably shouldn't be a huge one, because most people or many persons, their full diet may be not only cheese. You know, with vegans, you could have other sources of protein, plant-based protein. So, yeah.
Yeah, great contribution, Nerish. So I think the class answered all 3 questions. I think we had a okay presentation. If I could get some feedback from Leela and Candice on what they thought about the short presentation tonight.
We have Chris as well.
Oh, and yes, Chris as well.
Go ahead, Leela.
Hi, I thoroughly enjoyed the short session. I mean, I came in last minute, 2 minutes before it started, but I'm happy to be part of it, and I look forward. It's opening up my mind to different things, and you all will surely be hearing again from me, because when I leave the session, I'm going to go on YouTube and see how they produce, if I get any videos showing me how to produce a homemade vegan cheese. Once I try something, I'll definitely show it to you all. So I'll be back in touch with you all. Yes.
Thanks in advance.
Yeah, so
well done, Riyadh.
I like to experiment. I do healthy cooking. So for the past weeks, I've been using things like lentil and chickpeas to make burgers, and using beetroot to make my hummus and all this kind of thing. So I've been experimenting, and for me, I think I'll enjoy doing something like this. So thanks, it was enjoyable.
Definitely, Leah, your mind will be blown when you go on YouTube.
I know. Thanks.
Candice, how do you think the presentation was tonight?
Well, I do a lot of cooking as well. I think when it comes to cheeses, though, I'm a one-trick pony. I do a creamy cheese with mac and cheese, so like a vegan mac and cheese, and that is where it starts and stops for me with cheese. So what tonight has done is to show me a lot more options, and I could do a lot more, because I mean, prior to us discovering, we had an issue. We love cheese, right? So if we could safely partake, I think it would be wonderful, and even better if I don't have to pay the $100 for a block. Better.
Yeah, that much better.
Better fat. So I really enjoyed the session. I think everything I was expecting was delivered, and you know, I'm going to keep looking for more sessions because this is definitely the way that I want my family to go. I want us to grow our own foods and make more of our own things and, you know,
Very
become
good.
self-sufficient as a household. So
Perfect.
this is definitely something up my avenue.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that, Candace. Really appreciate it.
Yep, excellent.
Miss
Chris, I
Chris.
don't, have we heard from Chris for the night? Chris, you can unmute and let us know how the session was. You also have the option to type, but if possible, we would like to hear from you directly. Right, so yes, go ahead, Chris.
We can't hear you, Chris. Can you check your volume,
Nice.
your
Yeah.
mic also, please?
Yes, you are successfully unmuted, but we are not hearing. Okay, right, so, well, Chris may be having some technical, right, okay, yeah. So Chris might be she's having some technical issues,
No problem.
with the mic,
Yeah. I saw
right,
she
but
dropped a nice comment for us there, Cohen. Very good class. I'd like to find out more about the yogurt cheese. And she'd also be interested
yes,
in doing a yogurt making class. So that will fall under the yogurt making class.
yeah, but Riyadh, I find you do my injustice there, man. You just drop this yogurt cheese thing for a minute and oh gosh, boy, Riyadh, that
No,
sounds so interesting.
I have to give you something to look forward to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I find
does
that's
it
an
now?
injustice, man. That yogurt cheese, I have
It,
never even heard of. I never.
it's simple. It's simple, Cohen. To be honest, it's just to get some beneficial microbes, and you add it to your livestock milk. After you strain, you add that culture that is to use up the lactose, and then it will over time. That's what you could. It's really just that simple. It might even be shorter than making the vegan cheese or the lactose-free cheese. When you get your curds, add your microbes. Well, that's a very simple way of putting it. When I go through the whole yogurt making process, I'll give you step by step how to add cultures, how not to add, how to preserve, how to store, what type of microorganisms you want to add for a particular desired taste or effect or texture. That's just the breakdown.
Yes, I mean, so we would be covering the yogurt. So we need to have a 1 and 2 or because now that you
Yogurt,
did the yogurt cheese,
I believe yogurt should be 2. Let me confirm with you now when I gather all the content.
okay, great. And so folks, for all of you who would want to experiment, or Candace, you
Yeah, I have a question. Is unrelated, but the kefir grains, is that something that you could get locally?
The
Kefir grains, the kefir or kefir,
No,
however
no,
you pronounce
no.
it.
I think that's what you import that. I have
Okay,
not seen it here locally.
all right.
And it's really a healthy substitute. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you could reuse the grains. I think when
Correct.
you could reuse it. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
okay, but
Any
care to enlighten the rest of us a little more? You're having your private discussion. What if I don't know what this is?
Okay, so let
You
me just
you
give
would
you
leave me in my simple-mindedness.
So kefir is really a fermented drink similar to a thin yogurt. All right, so it's really a drink rather than a semi-solid texture. All right, and it's really made from kefir grains, a specific type of mesomorphic symbiotic culture. So it deals with microbes as well. All of those we'll cover more in depth as we go into the yogurt. Anything with microbes, we want to focus more on that side.
Right. Well, you see, I thought that was something you used to make bread or porridge or something. So
No.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's considered a superfood as well. It's a recent trend. It's become
It's
very
really,
popular.
really, yeah, highly nutritious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it contains healthy bacteria.
Correct.
Yeah.
Kerwin, I don't know if anyone has any other comments or questions, but Kerwin, I think it will be a good time to just speak briefly about the mastermind if persons are interested in that and the recordings.
Right. So all our sessions are recorded and the recordings are available for purchase, right? Those of you who would have attended tonight's session, well, remember we always ask for your email. So you would get the recording of this session later in the week, or should I say next week, when we have finished the editing process and uploading and all of that, right? And as pertains to the mastermind, the whole idea behind the mastermind is to help you go from idea, just having an idea, to developing a functional operational business, right? And when we say business, our definition of business is a bit different, because you just look out the road, it seems everybody has a business, but a lot of these businesses really function on people's effort rather than on proper business systems. So this is what we want. We want folks to start off with an idea, to refine that idea, to run it through a systems based analysis, and have a plan, right? So that we really become successful entrepreneurs. Because as simple as this session we did here tonight, you may very well start off just doing something for your family. Many businesses, many world-renowned brand names started that way. They started as family enterprises. They perfected what it is they were doing, and then they began to market it outside. And it was done, or the business was now set up in such a way that it could be scaled while still protecting the integrity of, let's say, the recipe, right? So you were able to duplicate, but you cannot, somebody else can't just go and buy that and say, well, I'm going to make the same thing that you have. No. All right, so the mastermind is really to promote entrepreneurship, which we feel is one of the biggest challenges we have. Not our ability to cook, not our ability to grow produce, not our ability to take care of animals. It is really our ability to create business systems. And this is why, unlike somebody else who might do a cheese video and just show you this is how you make cheese, what we say is there are already lots of videos on YouTube, and other platforms showing you how to make cheese, right? But even though all those videos are already present, we are still not seeing a proliferation of vegan cheese, lactose-free cheese, and other local cheeses on the local market. Why? We still have a ridiculously high import bill, but we have things showing us how to, do all of these things. So we decided our focus is going to be on speaking and sharing information about the business aspect of the topics we cover. So in tonight's session, I'm sure you all would have recognized the various business potential or business opportunities that are present in this one topic. Because remember, a good entrepreneur doesn't have to know how to plant a crop. A good entrepreneur doesn't have to know how to make cheese for himself, right? A good entrepreneur is able to capitalize even on other people's skill and talent and ability and create an enterprise around it. What we are suggesting to you is that you now have the opportunity to be experimental, right? We realize the people we have here actually enjoy this aspect of it. So you want to learn how to do it for yourself. And we applaud that and we are happy for that. What we want also is that you recognize you have potentially a skill that you could not just give to your family, but to the entire country. And as we move even further along, right, we must get to a point where we are now exporting. And guess what? When you export, you are probably going to export at the same market value that these things sell for on the outside. So we can actually create a system where we make healthy products more available for our own local people, right? While it is still at a quality and standard that it is able to fetch a good price on the export market.
Great.
Yeah, so for those of you who, want to just go past, just doing something as a hobby, our next mastermind group will be starting in 2021. Yeah, so you can always just follow up with us as we continue to prepare and get things ready for that second group.
Yeah,
Nice.
so certainly, thank you, Cohen, for that summary. And myself, Joshua, and Cohen can attest to how valuable these mastermind sessions are. Riyadh is the one who facilitates those sessions. And it's really great to see the different business potential that is out there. I'm sure, well, I see Candice mentioned she's inspired, but certainly in the sessions that we've had over the last few months on Saturdays, we've seen the various things that we can do as entrepreneurs, as a nation. So, stay posted, try to keep in tune with the Facebook pages of Homegrown Business Solutions and Tropical Agriculture Consultancy Services, because they would have past posts on different sessions that we've had on goat production, on quail production 1, and also on future sessions as well. So I did post in the chat future sessions. So next weekend, next Saturday, beef production 2, sheep production 2 follows that, quail production 2, and sustainable agriculture systems. So tell your friends, tell your family, those who are interested, so that we can really, they can join this revolution in agriculture that we have.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say every household should have an agriculture entrepreneur, right? It is our responsibility to ensure food security, right? Would love to learn how to export produce. Yeah, that is the level we need to go to, Leela, right? And the link I would have shared in the group, that is our webinar series schedule. It is still not fully up to date because we are still plugging more sessions in, right? So before the year is out, I am really not sure how many sessions we will cover, but every week we are online, all right, to bring you exciting topics where you can see much more of what is available, right? Lots and lots and lots of opportunities, unexploited opportunities in the food and agriculture industry, all right? So thanks everyone. Risha, I would hand over to you to close off our session tonight.
Sure. Any other questions or comments before we close off for tonight?
Hi, good night. Can you all hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
great.
Yes.
Go ahead, Ms. Chris.
I got the mic to it. So I just wanted to say thanks again for the great session, and I am looking forward to the class on making yoga.
No problem.
Great. Thank you, Ms.
Thanks so
Chris.
much.
Yeah, great. Okay. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for your attendance and your participation. As I said, please keep on the lookout for future sessions and keep in contact with Kerwin so that you can get information on the recordings, etc. Okay. So thanks again. Enjoy your night and let's get growing. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.